Well, okay. Hi, friends. Doc South here. How you doing? I guess we're going to do a take two on this story I had done. I thought I did pretty well with take one, and I hit the wrong button, and yeah, gone. It just I didn't hit the share button. I hit the doggone trash can by mistake, and no more story. And they were good stories too. Well, I'll repeat them if I can. Three stories about pilots in World War II. I've met all three of these folks. Well, one was my father, and but the first one, actually of the three, the only one left alive, is a fella. Let's see, what Charles is his name. He's at a local nursing home, senior care facility, and well, full of vinegar. Man, that's a fact. And I'd forgotten about his story. These I may have told before. Bear with me if I did. At least I'm getting all three into one spot. So Charles wanted so bad to be a bomber pilot. It sounds like a crazy thing to want to be, but that's what he wanted to be. If there was going to be a war, he wanted to be a bomber pilot. And the only trouble was he's a bit short. He was, I think, 5'5", and you need fairly long legs, from what I gathered, to fly these things. Planes, you steer them also with your feet. There's, I guess, rudder pedals, and well, Charles went through all the training and stuff, but then they kept saying, we're a little worried about this. If for some reason, well, he wanted to fly, I believe they were called B-24s, a four-engine plane. Mostly you see them flying over, they would fly over Europe on bombing missions to Germany and points of interest. And they said, if you lose an engine or two, especially on, say, the left or right side, if both are gone, you're going to have to be standing on that rudder pedal to keep the plane from, I guess, doing like a boomerang, right? And well, you think about it, yeah, that's what would happen. You just couldn't steer it unless the rudder was going hard in the opposite direction. And he said, well, yeah, he says, I know I'm short, but doggone, if that happens, you can count on it. I'm going to think of some way to keep my foot on that rudder. Gee. And they said, no, what if you're hurt or something and the co-pilot's out of commission? No, we don't want to lose a crew or a plane if we can help it. Why don't we reconsider? And maybe I'll tell you what, you like B-29s? He said, oh, B-29s, his eyes glossed over. Yeah, that's that sort of the silverish looking plane with the big round nose with all the windows. I hope those are bulletproof windows. That they were the really huge bomber that flew mostly over the Japan, targets of interest in Japan. And he said, well, you want me to fly one of them? They said, no, you're still too short for that. But if you like, we'll make you the flight engineer. He says, well, flight engineer, sure. I guess that'd be all right because I'm third in line. If the pilot and co-pilot are gone or injured, I step in, right? They said, yeah. He says, so we'll teach you how to fly the darn thing. It's just we're a little worried about you. But if you're the last choice, you're going to have to stand on the rudder. And he said, okay. He says, sure. And so he trains and he's part of a crew. And it was late in, it was about late spring 1945. He's still doing the training. He's got his crew. They're practicing all this stuff. And he training. And finally, they get the assignment to go. It's like midsummer, and they're going to go in a flight of 50 from California, Northern California, I believe, to the Marianas Islands. And the way they did it was they would, a flight of 50 wouldn't all go off at once. They'd go a few at a time. Just so 2 or 3 at a time. That way they aren't all in a bunch and sitting ducks possibly if by chance there's some Japanese pilots in that neck of the woods. So that's what they did. his flight is flight number 50. So he's got to wait. All the other guys are leaving. All the other planes waving goodbye. Yeah, right if you get a chance. Yeah, kind of. And he's just sitting there. He's kind of looking at the fuel gauge. I think he had a call for fuel. I don't know. That or engines were off, and just waiting for their chance. And well, anyway, eventually, long story short, it's finally time for flight 48, 49, and 50 to go. They get themselves on the edge of the runway. They're revving the engines. They're all set to go. And the control tower calls to him and says, and Charles got this message, flight 50, your squadron, 48, 49, 50, stand down. Come on back. The war is over. The Japanese just surrendered. He said, but no. They said, come on back. No sense wasting fuel. The war is over. Oh, and the party's on us in the hangar. I said, well, okay. And that was it. Yeah. But he was ready to go. And my gosh, he was ready. Doggone, he was all set and he's going to give him heck. So there you go. Pretty cool story. And then my father, in training, he flew Corsairs. It was a fighter plane, very beautiful plane. It had the inverted gull wings. Yeah, the wings came down a little bit out of the fuselage and then out. Whistling Death was the nickname the Japanese gave to Corsairs. Brutal plane, very fast. I think a Corsair actually is, the only propeller plane that shot down a jet over Korea during the Korea War. And so, yeah, they were pretty fast. And my father loved them. Well, one day, again, I think he was training. He was still training. And he's flying over South Carolina. I think he was based out of Cherry Point, which is, I think, on the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. And he was on automatic pilot, heading east, going back to base, I guess, after a training mission. And he says, well, I see the base. I'll switch off automatic pilot and land. Only trouble is the automatic pilot wouldn't shut off. He's stuck. He's up there in the sky watching as he approaches Cherry Point. He let him know. He said, I don't think I can undo this. Somehow or another, I can't get this doggone automatic pilot. I got about a quarter tank of fuel. How much fuel do I need to get to Africa? They said, you ain't going to make it, pal. He said, what? And he said, now here's the thought, though. They said they described something he had to do. Maybe it was a wire needs snipping or a switch or whatever that was in the back of the fuselage. They said, take off the back of your seat, crawl back there, and they told him what to do, whatever it was. And he says, well, okay. And they said, just be ready. Once you let go of that, solve that problem, your plane's going to be flying without a pilot, and you're in the back. He says, yeah, that's not going to be good. They said, well, get back there as fast as you can and regain control. So he's, there he is, maybe a half a mile up, going pretty fast. And he's crawling back behind the plane, to the back of the fuselage. Behind the wings, for crying out loud. He finds what he has to do, does it, and like they said, the plane starts going nuts. Well, he's crawling, backing up, I could just see him. And everything's flying in the air. His deck of cards is racing for him. Yeah, all that. Yeah. And he gets back into his seat, gets into position, buckles up and regains control and lands. Other than that, though, it wasn't too good. Yep. Mom lived near the base. They weren't married yet. She was working on the base. I imagine he had a hot date that night, so he got it in. Yeah, he got the plane in just fine. But oh my God, he often told that story. He said that was pretty scary, and I think I would agree. And then now another friend, a good friend of my father's, was Jack. Jack, at one time or another, I think, he was a career pilot, stayed in the service after the war, and I think one time or another, for whatever reason, was made Pilot of the Year. Yeah, he was. at one time. I don't know if it was for World War II, but still. His thing was he was flying, I think, a P-51, very fast plane, murderous plane. And he's flying over, it's towards, well, it's almost to the end of the war, not quite. And he's flying over Italy, northern Italy, looking for targets of opportunity in his plane. Shoot him up if he can. And he saw a troop train. He's flying over a rail line. He sees a troop train heading south, Nazi troop train. He says, "Oy, okay." So he flies down, buzzes over the train, and goes further down the track. They're probably wondering what's up. Why didn't he fire? He said, I think I saw something south of the line here, south on the line, a tunnel. He sees a tunnel. He says, "I know what I'll do. I'll blow up the stinking tunnel." and so he does. He had a rocket. He puts a rocket right into the tunnel. The tunnel's pulp. Just a big pile of rubble. No one's getting through that for a while. And so he turns around. Good thing, because the mountains and staring him in the face. It was some pretty fancy flying, and he flies back over the troop train, looks at that, and said, "I'm not going to bother. Those guys ain't going nowhere." He says, "Wait a minute. Further north, there's another tunnel." And he blows up that tunnel. So the troop train's stuck, and they're going to be there for a while. There wasn't much you could do. They're kind of between two landslides. Nothing, all they can do is climb up over the Alps if they care to, but that's not so easy. So, without hurting a soul, he stopped a massive troop movement to the front lines, which helped in the war. Not bad, huh? Yeah, and decent fella too. He actually, I think, wrote a book about his efforts. I think he did, much like I did. It was a self-published thing, but yeah, I'll have to see if I can find a copy. He was a pretty neat guy, him and my father, oh my gosh, such friends. Anyway, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed, and I should mention, if you've got a story that you'd like me to read for my YouTube site, I'll send it to me. DocSouthShow@yahoo.com. DocSouthShow@yahoo.com. I'll be glad to do the story. I may have to wing it, paraphrase and all that, but I'll stay true to the story. And there you are. Okay, yeah. Let me know. DocSouthShow@yahoo.com. Till we meet again. I guess the best thing I can say is God bless, and we'll see you later. Thank you, and have a ball. We'll see you later.